E-commerce expansion myths blasted. Successful cross-border expansion help. Listen to the show to hear how one UK company is helping e-commerce sellers successfully expand into Europe and double their profits. Hosted by Andy Hooper of Global E-commerce Experts.
Good afternoon and welcome to another podcast, e-com expansion series. I'm Ant from Global E-commerce Experts, Head of Growth here at GE, and I'm delighted to be joined by Max from BidX. Max and I have spoken before. We reversed roles last time. I was on his podcast, and now he's kindly agreed to join ours. So welcome, Max.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for having me.
No worries. Max, should we start with sort of talking a little bit about yourself and your experiences in e-commerce and all that kind of thing?
Sure. So, hello, everybody. My name is Max. I started selling on Amazon back in 2015. So this is now over 7 years ago. And a lot of things have changed during the last 7 years. At that time, I was still in studies and I was curious about this whole opportunity to buy and big amounts of products in China or wherever and import them to Europe and then sell them over here on the Amazon marketplace. And it went pretty well. So we grew the business to 7 figures pretty quickly. But one thing that we learned was that Amazon advertising was like the main differentiator at that time to launch products and as well as to keep bestsellers at the top. And all the advertising activities and all the work that we had to do was done manually. So log into Seller Central, go into each individual campaign, add group keyword, adjust the bids, move keywords, and so on. And we said, oh gosh, there must be like a better way. There must be an easier way, like for Google, for Facebook, and so on. They do exist these tools that help people and that help sellers to automate it. And that is when I teamed up with my girlfriend at that time, Nadine, who studied computer science, and she's my wife now. So
Congrats.
all good. And so I knew what an Amazon seller would need, and Nadine knew how to develop and code a program that would solve that issue. And it was like back in 2017, 2018, when Amazon only opened up the API. So external software providers were able to access advertising data via the API and then adjust programmatically these bids and budgets and keywords and so on. And we now grew the team to 40 people over here in Europe. We just opened up an office in New York. We now also have the first team members working from the US, and we are happy to support Amazon sellers around the globe to grow and scale their Amazon business by automating advertisements on and off Amazon.
Awesome. And yeah, I mean, I know from experience that it's a big pain point. I mean, is it really a pain point? I mean, it's certainly something that demands an awful lot of time and attention. So I used to quite enjoy going into the kind of keywords and into the different campaigns to kind of optimize those campaigns, which is great on a lower scale, but as you start to build and scale and you have to have more campaigns running across more products, it does become a little bit admin heavy, to say the least. So so that's great. Thanks for the intro, Max. Let's kind of kick off by giving us a real kind of overview of BidX. Like what do you guys do? What do you guys specialize in? Sorry, and how can you help clients and Amazon sellers grow their business?
Yeah, sure. So we started with the biggest pain point that we had, which was basically bid management. In the beginning, this was completely rule-based. So if this, then that, and every client was able to just set up a set of rules and then the system would execute it. And that worked great for people who knew what to do. But this is like only a tiny fraction of the Amazon seller market. Most people just have a target where they'd like to be, and then they'd like to have the system do it for them. So we came up with the automation. In the beginning, it was also only bid automation, but then we added keyword automation. So the system is able to recognize the whole campaign structure, also of existing campaigns. It knows the different match types, auto, product, broad, phrase, exact. It recognizes all the campaign structure that is already existing. We can like fill in the gap of all the missing ad groups with a single click to complete the campaign structure or create new campaigns for products that have not been advertised so far. And then we are also able to move the keywords across the search funnel kind of. And besides that, we are also able to shift the budgets from bad performing campaigns to good performing campaigns, or increase bids and budgets with our boost function during events like Prime Day of Black Friday. And we also offer like day parting, where customers are able to increase throughout the times of the week the bids and budget. For instance, like Friday evening is horrible because everybody is going out to have dinner with some friends and so on. So people are surfing around, but they are not buying the products. So we recommend mostly to reduce then bids and budgets. And then on the weekend, where, for instance, on Sunday, most of the retail shops in the city are closed, at least over here, like in Germany, in most of the shops in France as well, in UK probably as well. And so people shift to buy online. And that, of course, like Sunday is the best day for most of the sellers to sell the products. People are at home, they have time, they're able to spend it. So increase there. And by doing all the different steps, we are like able to increase sales by 30% just in the first 6 weeks alone, by shifting budgets, by increasing bids, by decreasing bids for campaigns and keywords where it's not performing very well. And it is like a platform that allows sellers to have a workflow for everything they need to advertise successfully on Amazon.
So am I right in saying then that you can automate the system to increase and reduce bids as and when you see the most traffic on those particular listings?
Exactly. And at the moment, this is like based on weekdays and times through at the moment, but we also increase the focus that we take use of bestseller rank of your stock, of your current ranking, organic and paid. We have now the search frequency from Amazon with brand analytics, which just got a huge update and allows much better and comprehensive data. And we are getting all these data into the system and optimized based on that.
Wow. Okay, that sounds awesome. Is this very sort of Amazon specific, or do you have the kind of reach to go into other marketplaces, or something for the future maybe?
Very good question. So we already planned last year to expand beyond Amazon to other marketplaces. And also our vision is to enable sellers around the globe to sell their products and services online as easy as possibly, and to facilitate them in doing so, like with a push of the button to advertise them across the different marketplaces. However, if you look how rapidly Amazon was growing due to the pandemic and due to the big margins they have, like in the advertising business, the complexity probably doubled or quadrupled over the last 2 years. So we still stuck with Amazon at the moment. And we want to have everything that, like at the beginning, we wrote down like 5 points that we want to have, and we got like 3 to 4 covered at the moment, but the fifth is still missing. And so we're still with Amazon. Amazon is keeping us so busy, but also Amazon is growing so rapidly. And we see that focusing now on other marketplaces, for instance, is just distraction, because maybe they can like get additional 10-20% of sales, but they would also probably get that if they just focus on Amazon at the moment. If they would start to expand to new markets with the help of great providers, and then they would double down on Amazon and they would get like the same growth and probably a better return, because they keep it simple and they just focus on one marketplace. And that's why we still stuck with Amazon, but it's also planned in the future to expand.
Yes. Great. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing more and more appetite for moving into different marketplaces, which is what kind of prompted the question. But also, having worked with other marketplaces and knowing how the kind of ad campaigns work, they all have slight differences from Amazon. So I guess that would kind of add to the complexity of having this kind of one-stop shop type advertising approach. But it's awesome to hear that you're working on it. Because I think, like you said, I think Amazon at the moment is the kind of big player with the rapid growth. But certainly for the future, it's going to be hugely beneficial for a kind of multi-marketplace approach for sure.
Absolutely.
So I mean, let's kind of go back, like kind of strip it right back. Let's just say that I'm relatively new to selling on Amazon. I don't really kind of understand the kind of ad strategy and the right approach. I'm chucking money into advertising, which is not performing very well. I approach you guys to say, right, I'd like you to kind of automate my advertising. How quickly could a seller expect to start seeing results from using your software?
So when somebody is new to Amazon, it always depends, like what that person or that company do before. If have they been active in, like, is it only the marketplace, like for instance now the UK, and they have been selling in the US, or is it complete Amazon as a channel? Then probably start with an agency that is helping to setting it up. As soon as like the Amazon channel is set up, and as soon as you are gathering the first sales, then it might make sense to also look out for tools that can support. Like we see the first really promising optimization results coming in as soon as you spend more than 5,000 per month on advertising on Amazon. That is where we see that our optimization matters. You can also do it like if you're just spending $200 a month, but then probably the percentage of improvement is the same, and then our service probably would cost much more than the result that we could get out of it.
Yes.
And then it's always a question, like, how much knowledge do you have about Amazon advertising? And in that case, it is a question, if you do have the knowledge and if you do have the resources, then great, come and join our software. It's like super self-explanatory, and you can just sign up for free, and you see the first results coming in after 14 days. So you set up the account, you connect the API, then you set up the automation with the target ROAS or target ACOS where you'd like to go, and then the system is going to optimize therefore. If you don't have the resources, then we recommend to book like the managed service where we support people and educate people, or we recommend to our agency partners and our partners in general, because they mostly have much more resources to train people or to also cover completely as external partner the Amazon channel or the advertising channel. And then they are just using, for instance, our system BidX in the background, because it facilitates all the tasks that have to be done day in, day out. And you as an agency account manager, you would rather focus on strategic decisions, what benefits the client, and where really human thinking and human work can make the result much, much better. Because like adjusting bits up and down, can be better done by a machine, which is doing it when it rains, when the sun shines, on weekdays, on vacations, and so on.
Yeah, I agree. Would you guys kind of recommend a budget? Let's say, for example, there's an Amazon seller that's using a €200 budget on their advertising strategy. Would your software kind of pick up that actually, by increasing this budget, you're going to improve your ROAS by X, for example?
Yeah. So we don't give like an automatic prediction which result we will expect, like if we triple the budget, for instance. But what you can do with our budget automation, you just set up, for instance, if you're spending at the moment $200 and you set up the budget rule and say, I'd like to spend $1,000 per month in average, but with the restriction to reach that target ROAS, for instance. And then the system is going to increase bits and budgets here and there where it makes sense, where you are able to expand. And it moves like promising search terms from automatic, from broad campaigns and so on. It moves them to the exact campaign where you have much more control. And then it will increase bits and budgets over there. And so at the end, probably you won't spend the whole $1,000, but you are able to spend like $800 with the same efficiency just by letting the system do what it can do best.
Awesome. Do you have like is there like a reporting function within the software that kind of shows you, like gives you a bit of an overview at the end of each month almost?
Yeah, so we have like a completely customizable dashboard where all of our clients can like add widgets, remove widgets, filter widget by default, and then they can, for instance, create one whole dashboard for new products that are currently launched. Because like you focus on completely different set of KPIs when you're launching a new product than when you're like selling off a product or when you're just having a cash cow that is producing profitable advertising returns. And so you can set up everything, you can visualize everything, and we pull in not only the advertising data but also organic data. So you see the total sales, and you can also optimize based on a total ROAS or a total ACOS.
Wow. Okay. And then I guess from an agency's perspective, are you able to kind of drill that down by client?
Absolutely. So we work with so many agencies, and what we have is like a user management where the agency is able to set who's the administrator, who is account managers in our team, and who's in the end the user. And then you can set permissions, who can see what, and the admin is able to get an overview of all the clients that are currently managed by the agency. And so you can see like the client names, then where their paid sales, where their previous paid sales, how did it change, and so on. So with a single click as an agency owner, you get a whole overview how all of your clients are currently performing, and then you can dig deeper and ask account managers, for instance, or log into the seller account from the client to dig deeper and see the reason why it performed so good or why it dropped, for instance.
So can you can allocate access externally as well for that, can you?
Yeah, like many agencies publicly share that they are working with us. We also offer a white label solution where the agency can host the BidX system on a private URL with private corporate identity with their logo and so on. Then like BidX is completely hidden. But many of us just use BidX and say we are working with BidX, and they give the client access, for instance, to the dashboard. And then they can just click and drop and track all the widgets like they'd like to see it and post the questions directly over there. Or they generate like a PDF report, which also is completely customized with brand logo, with the corporate identity colors and so on. And they can share the PDF report if they don't want to have the client too much access.
Yeah, sure. So actually, it's a real, if you were an agency that wanted to allocate that access to your clients, it actually not only does it benefit the agency by automating the bids and making it really easy to kind of report and see exactly what's going where, but it's also acting as a benefit to the client as well, because all of a sudden they get really kind of simplified statistics on their kind of advertising performance as well.
Yeah, and you reduce a lot of the communication of the sending and requesting and so on. You can, for instance, also just create like on a monthly basis a report where you as an agency owner or account manager, where you add like comments to the different charts, for instance, and you then share it with your client, and then or they can just access it. So you say, okay, report for last month is ready. We made a summary with everything we did, what went smooth, what did not. You can access it over here and you can dig deeper where you'd like, and we are open for any questions that you have.
That's awesome. I mean, the software itself sounds amazing. And when you said earlier, I think you mentioned that you were quite quick when Amazon opened the API to kind of get this software up and running. Obviously, there are a few other kind of automated bid services around at the moment, but how early were you? Were you like one of the first to kind of launch?
Yeah, so we had like in summer of 2017, we had like automated bid and automated bid management. It was in the beginning, like based on the rules, as mentioned before. And we only did so because there was no other software on the market at that time when we started. Then, like in summer, autumn, like the first 1, 2 other competitors, I'd say, also brought out their solution. There were many reporting solutions at that time. So we had many softwares that were great at reporting advertising results, but they were not doing anything. And there were also like one of the other software then, when the API came out, that would run suggestions. So we see that you are spending probably too much on that keyword. We would reduce it to that amount. Do you accept or no? But we said, okay, this is like facilitating and also helping the seller, but at the end, he still has to do all the work. And we said, okay, we do it the other way around. We say, we do everything. And if you didn't like what we do, you can just undo it, because then you don't have to think about logging in every day, doing it on the weekend and so on. But the system is doing it. And then if you're like checking it once a week, you can just go with all the adjustments. And if you don't like something, you can just undo it. And then it's going to be the value that it has previously had before.
Yeah, that's really cool. So who would you say are your kind of biggest competitors now?
So we have mainly US competition. I think who's doing a good job in that field is Perpetua, PackView, Quartal, that are at least the firm that are loudest in the American area. And we also have to say that they are really focusing on the American market, whereas we are really focusing on the European market. And so now the one or the other is like tapping into the other's geographic region, but not too much.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I was going with that, because a lot of these, kind of automated ad softwares are US based, aren't they? So it's interesting to know that that you're kind of probably the one that sits within Europe the most. I mean, is the majority of your business European, or do you also have business in the US as well?
We do have business in the US as well. This is why we're also building our team over there, because we had already business before and we wanted to facilitate our US clients even better. And of course, also to market it more over there. But at the moment, still, the majority of our clients are European based. And this gives us like a really advantage over here, having native support in all the different European, in the main European languages, I would say, at least for the pan-EU. So French, Spanish, Italian, and so on. And also having native speakers that can facilitate with checking the listings if they are okay, checking the keywords if they are okay, and so on. And also understanding the whole European concept of selling with the different VAT numbers, whatsoever, the stock situation, which is completely different than in the US. And so if, for instance, now sellers from the US get support from you, for instance, to expand to Europe, to expand to UK, and then to the other European markets, then we are able to support them as natives over here, which I think is probably best. Like if I would now run my listings also in America, I would also even if I'm British, I would say American native speakers should look over it, because like there are like little words and differences, nuances, where Americans feel that there is a difference. And so there, I think it's like the biggest strength, besides the product that is delivering the results that people are expecting.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. We, as we specialize in expanding clients from region to region, and one of the biggest things that we kind of come across is that kind of, it's not even the language barrier in some cases, it's more of the kind of change in search behaviors. Like, although the US and the UK, we speak the same language there or thereabouts, we would search for things in a different way. And I'm guessing that a software package like BidX would pick up on that in those specific regions, and really be able to kind of drive that performance.
Absolutely.
Wicked. All right. So let's just kind of talk about, with regards to let's kind of give you a scenario. We've got a new Amazon seller that are kind of setting up, and they don't know an awful lot about advertising. They're very new to the kind of e-commerce world. What would your kind of recommendations be for kind of advertising? Like, how should somebody get started? What sort of things should they look for, and when should they start to look to introduce softwares like yourself?
Yeah. So first, I would make sure that all the low-hanging fruits are optimized. And this is basically the listing, that you have the listing, if it got a translation that is done natively, if you have promising images, videos, A+ content, and so on. These are like all the low-hanging fruits, which still not all Amazon sellers have totally accomplished, because these things will drastically increase your conversion rate. And by having a high conversion rate, you are able to pay more per click, or you can gain more visibility because you convert better. So the first thing is to make sure that organically everything is set up and you also have enough stock. So as soon as you start advertising and you get like a lot of traffic, that you don't run out of stock the next month, kind of.
Yeah.
The next thing that we recommend, if you're not too familiar, I would always work like with a service provider, with an agency together, who should then take care. Because in the beginning, you might not spend too much, but this can accelerate pretty quick. And if you don't do it properly, you can also waste a lot of money. So if you don't have too much knowledge about it, I would always work with a service provider or an agency together. And then mostly what we recommend is do a proper keyword research for your listing and build on that when you start your advertising campaigns. So also if you have like now expanded your business, for instance, to all the European countries, then you probably have native translation for your listings. And also over there, you did your keyword research. You looked for the nuances that all the different countries have and how people are searching for products over there. And so this is always a great basis where we can start to work with, because that shows like which are the most important keywords. You can check them again with search query performance, which have the highest search volume, which are to focus most on. And you also have then the possibility to know which are your local fierce competitors, because then these are the ASINs you want to target with product targeting. And then if you have set up this, you can use software like ours right from the beginning to properly create the whole campaign structure, because this is the basement where you then build on to scale your campaigns in the future. And if the basement is like missing many pieces, you are not really able to scale. And depending on how much search volume you have, you can just work with a generic. But if you have a lot of search volume, then we also recommend to split it up in a generic, in a branded protect campaign, in a competitor attack campaign, and also like one top keyword exact campaign where you just put in like 5 to 10 keywords. And these are like the most important one, especially those where you want to rank and where you want to have like manually also, for instance, in your dashboard, a view how is it performing and how are my organic and paid rankings evolving. And so the whole setup, you can already start with using our software with a one-click setup. It is done like in a couple of seconds or minutes. And then it depends like on the launch strategy. What is the budget that is planned? What is the period that is planned? And we don't recommend to waste too much time because of the honeymoon period to push as much as possible, and perhaps not only work with Amazon, but also use external traffic sources where you can get additional traffic. Using Amazon attribution, you are also able to track back the traffic, where it's coming from and what is converting best. And then as soon as the product has enough reviews and has enough traction and you got the first rankings, then you can completely rely on the automation and the optimization then to get your ads profitable will be done by the system.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think we're totally aligned in our kind of messaging there. Like, it's something that I constantly talk about to kind of new Amazon sellers where we have this discussion, and I feel quite passionately that Amazon sellers need to invest early. So often we see slow sales, defocus because because the sales aren't there. I think with the right kind of launch, going into it with the right kind of mindset and making sure that we're prepared to kind of invest in advertising automation and proper listings, is really key to a successful Amazon campaign for sure. That was really interesting, Max. Thank you very much. Just my final question from me. What does this? I mean, we kind of touched a little bit on this earlier with regards to kind of additional marketplaces, but other than that, what does the future hold for BidX?
So we focus now on getting traffic off Amazon to Amazon, and we see huge potential in doing so. We have like the iOS privacy change by Apple, which made it really hard for D2C companies to track their revenues and to attribute the sales using social media advertisements. We have now the cookie change by Google, where we don't are able to attribute sales anymore, but like Google will use the algorithms to attribute what is a sale and what is not. And we see Amazon is becoming like a huge platform where it's not only the marketplace anymore, but where we have like the Fire TV, Prime TV, where we have like Freevee as a free format now, and also all the Alexa Echo devices, which are like not directly on Amazon, but which can be targeted by using Amazon DSP. And this is also not only on Amazon owned properties, but like across the whole internet. And we see that as Amazon is getting more competitive and as CPCs are rising, you have to look for traffic sources outside of Amazon to get that traffic from out of Amazon to Amazon and to increase your sales over there. So before we are moving on to the next marketplace, we also want to make sure that we get all the low-hanging fruits in getting most of the internet traffic to the Amazon marketplace and to help our clients and Amazon sellers to just grow and scale their business on Amazon before expanding to other marketplaces.
Sounds exciting. Yeah, really exciting future for you guys, and it's been really interesting, talking to you and hearing more about what your software does. Max, absolute pleasure as always. It's great to hear about hear about your business, hear about your experiences as well. I really appreciate you coming on. That's it for today. Again, big thanks to Max for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. We'll see you next time on the e-commerce expansion series podcast. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
E-commerce expansion myths blasted. Successful cross-border expansion help. Listen to the show to hear how one UK company is helping e-commerce sellers successfully expand into Europe and double their profits. Hosted by Andy Hooper of Global E-commerce Experts.